Okay, so good afternoon once again, and welcome to this qualitative research. So I call it as a lecture. You can call it even a seminar as well. So what I'm going to mainly discuss today, I'm going to give you a kind of an overview. The reason is that most of you are still at the stage of preparing your research proposal. So your proposals would be, I think, due within another 1 month time. So if anyone is trying to put the qualitative research into your proposal, I hope that today's discussion will be helpful for you. And also, I would like to do this one as like a continuation, probably for another 2 3 sessions, because today it's going to be only an overview, the big picture only I'm going to show you today, since you are at the stage of proposal preparation. But thereafter, if you need one more or two, three, or whatever the number of sessions, we can have it. Mainly for the analysis. I think that's where you really need to have a very good understanding, analysis, as well as how to prepare this chapter 4 and 5, analysis, the data presentation, and discussion section. So that's where I think more discussions would be needed towards the end of the seminar series. So if you are really interested, then we can even do 1 or 2 sessions on that as well. Right. So let me go to the content for today. So this is what I'm going to discuss today, qualitative research journey. The big picture I'm going to show you, in which kind of situations you can mainly use a qualitative research, and how this is mainly different from a quantitative research perspective. And then the philosophical assumptions. I think this is something very much important, not for undergraduate, probably for the masters and even for higher degrees. But now there is a tendency in our faculty, even in the undergraduate research level, we are trying to incorporate a philosophical assumption, because I think that is really uh, becoming like an important thing, because then only your research would be more, how can we say, academically more rigorous in that case, if you have the philosophical assumptions from the undergraduate level, right? Then the quality assurance. So this is very different from quantitative research, because in quantitative research, the way that you look at the quality assurance is very different, right? The reliability, validity, and all of these things are coming up. But here the things are very different. So we'll talk about that as well. Now that is also a way that we can differentiate quantitative from qualitative research. And the research approaches. Now this is the area which most of the people are confused, right? Now when you say qualitative research, people tend to see it as only one perspective is there behind that. I think it is not the case, because especially if you are studying this area in more rigorous manner, so you will find out there are many approaches are available within the qualitative discipline. So that is something that I would like to point out. And also one more thing, today I'm going to explain you only 5 approaches. But when you look at the modern literature, you can see some more innovative approaches and combined approaches are also available, right? So this is something that emerging and continuously growing, right? So there is no ending for research approaches. Many approaches are there, right? So we'll discuss the main one, so then you can pick up the one which is very much suitable for you at this uh, the proposal development stage. And then qualitative analysis. Today I'm going to talk very briefly about the qualitative analysis, because I am still thinking all of you are in the proposal preparation stage. So that's why I will give you the big picture of the analysis. But when you come to the real analysis, we will do 1 or 2 sessions, because that needs more discussion, right? And then finally, how to present your qualitative findings. that is also one of the area that most of the students, even at the postgraduate level, that we are facing, right? How to present my qualitative findings, is that the same way that the quantitative findings are presented? So a lot of things are there, right? So these are the 6 aspects that I am going to discuss, right? So anytime if you have any question, you can talk to me by opening your microphone, right? So no problem with that. This is a very democratic session I want to have with you, right? And I really like to have more questions from you, right? So then only I can also learn from whatever that I have. And if I really don't know the answer for the question that you are finding out, so we can have a kind of a continuous session as we discussed earlier, right? Okay, so with that, we'll go for looking at what is the difference between these quantitative and qualitative research perspectives, right? I hope now in our faculty and even in most of the scholars, they have a big tendency to do the quantitative research. So what we do in quantitative is that when you take the research problem, right, you are trying to collect the numbers, and through those numbers, you are trying to test your hypothesis or maybe the theory, and then based on that, you will come across. Before testing the theory, you have to collect your data, and the data is numbers in nature. You are actually collecting numbers. Even if it is not numbers, you try to convert that to numbers, using some techniques, right? So then those numbers are going, those numbers are used to test your hypothesis or maybe your proposition or theory, and then based on that you come to the conclusion, right? So that's what you do. So because of that, we call actually quantitative research is confirmatory in nature. Confirmatory means you try to confirm something, whether my findings is confirming this particular theory or not. Whether my findings are confirming, let's say, the behavioral this particular theory, right? Or whether my findings are confirming this stakeholder theory. So that's what you are trying to do, right? So from the beginning, from the research problem onwards, you are trying to search for numbers, right? But qualitative is very much different, right? Here, there is no number, right? What we are trying to do, we are collecting and analyzing. Actually, you can see some of the things which we are collecting. Experience of the people, right? We can collect the experience of the students who are engaged with this online learning, and then after collecting that experience, right, so which is mostly in now how to collect those experience. There are many techniques for the experience collection, like you can conduct interviews, or you can be part of the Zoom discussion, right? And then you can see whether the students are asking questions or not, what is their level of engagement, right? Or if you want to really experience, really want to collect the experience of students uh, who are learning in a classroom, so you can go to that classroom maybe as a lecturer or maybe just as an observer, so you collect the experience of the students, right? And or maybe you are collecting narratives. Narratives means, especially when you come to the entrepreneurship field, I think narratives are very much important. Your narratives mean the stories, right? So when you look at some of the entrepreneurs, they have a big story to tell you, right? That story can you collect through a questionnaire? It's very, very difficult, right? Because that story contains how the person started the business, right? Now, for example, if I talk to you about one of the interview that I had with one of the very important businessmen, right? I will not tell his name. So he told, I just started my, this small, business in the beginning with 3 sticks, right? Kambi guru කියලා කියන්නේ අපි සිංහලෙන්, right? So then, with that way he started. Today, actually, he is having a, ownership of a multi-million company in Sri Lanka. You may be wondering who is that person, right? You can find it out, right? A business who is surrounded by Nittambua, right? So you may be knowing the name. So that's how actually some of the people are growing. So that's a big story. So he had a lot of difficulties in the beginning, right? He had, a lot of experience to share with you, a lot of family background things, how he has taken the loans. All these are what? Stories, narratives. Or he or she, your respondent can give a big explanation. How difficult it was for me to start my business. How difficult I felt when the bank is rejecting my loan application, right? So these are big explanations that you can collect. You see here in qualitative research, we are collecting experience, we are collecting narratives and explanations. And through that, what we are trying to do, we are trying to build an explanation, we are trying to build a description, or we may be trying to develop a theory. Now you may be wondering, can I develop a theory at the undergraduate level? Right now, Philip Kotler has developed the marketing theory. The let's say the Barney has developed the resource-based theory. People would think that way. No, you don't need to do that much of bigger theoretical intervention, or that kind of a big theory. You don't need to find out. You can just build a small explanation based on what you have done. So that's the theory for you. So your theory is mainly contextualize around whatever that you discuss. So it does not need to be a huge one, right? So your theory, it's a kind of small explanation about how students are engaged in the Zoom lectures. So you can build a explanation on that. So that's what we are trying to do in qualitative research. So it's all about what? Exploratory in nature, right? We are trying to explore something very new by looking at the people's experiences, people narratives, and people explanations, which is very different from testing a theory. That's why you can see some people are telling qualitative theory is about theory development, right? Quantitative theories are about testing theories. That's why people tell it that way. But actually, for qualitative research, you don't need to build a huge thing, right? Some minor explanation based on your context is very much more than important, more than enough at the undergraduate level. But when you go to the postgraduate level, you can mainly add from your discovery of theory to that main field, so that you can do at the postgraduate level, right? You can come up with some alternative explanations into the existing theories which are available. So that's for the postgraduate level, right? Okay, so that's the main difference between these two, right? So then, what are the suitable situations for qualitative research, right? In which situations you can use the qualitative, research. So that's the important thing, right? Now, I would like to give some example. Then you can think of, how can I formulate my research problem and things like that. You can use qualitative research to explore what? To explore a phenomenon. Can you tell a phenomenon? Right, which is in management would be available, right? So you can think of, let's say, the phenomenon of entrepreneurial marketing from the marketing perspective. How small scale entrepreneurs are becoming good marketers. So that's a phenomenon. You can explain that. You can build a story around that. You can build a case, right? So for example, you can go for a rural village, right? Let's say, for example, now there are very good famous rural villages are there for tourism, no, in our country, right? Now if you go to places like Knuckles, you can see so many villages are there. How properly they have built up their village to be successful in modern tourism, right? Before the COVID-19, of course. So you can build a story, you can build a case for that. Or you can explore a particular situation, right? Now, for example, how the Faculty of Management is responding for COVID-19 situation, which is available right now. So you are studying something in the natural setting. That's the important thing, right? You just go down to that place, you go down to that village, you go down to that particular entrepreneur, or you go down to that organization and study the things as it is happening in that particular context. That's why qualitative research, the researcher and the context are very much close to each other, right? The situation, the context, and the researcher, actually you can't separate the two. They are very much close to each other, right? But in the case of quantitative, you are The context is far away from you, and you are giving an interpretation, explanation based on that far away context. Right? So that's how these two things are very different. Complex issues without specific variables identified. Now, there may be complex issues. Now, the good example is COVID-19. To understand the COVID-19, how supermarkets are managing their supermarkets and how they are sustaining their income with the COVID-19. It's a complex situation that you have to address. You have employees, you have customers, you have to take care of every one of them. How you do that as organization? Right? And this is where you don't have even the prior research because it's a new area, right? Explaining a process or behavior. You can explain any process in an organization. What is the process of strategy development in a SME sector? You can do a very nice study on that, right? You can explain the behavior of the people, right, with respect to some incident, particularly for COVID at this time, right? Describing an issue using non-numerical data, right? You can explain some problem, some issue in the organization using the non-numerical data. How, let's say, the Faculty of Management is using the case study method as a teaching method. So that's the issue. That's a problem that most of the lecturers that we have right now. We want to move from the student-centered learning to a, the teacher-centered learning to a student-centered learning. So how we are tackling that issue? What is the experience of the teachers in doing that? Understanding a phenomenon, understanding a case, understanding a behavior situation, right? And then collecting participant. Now, this is what I already told, I think. You are collecting participant stories. Right? You ask, you tell the story, right? And you have to, now, once you collect the story, the interesting thing is you cannot tell the story the way that person is telling. You need to retell the story by addressing your research question. That's where you are trying to put your research into the context, right? Now, for example, when I go and interview one of the lecturer who may be using the case study method for teaching, right? So he will tell, okay, I open up the class this way, I put the case study. So he will tell the story. Can I retell the story in the same way for my audience in a research paper, in a dissertation? I can't do that. I have to retell the story by addressing my research question. That's the critical point. You cannot, you know, you cannot lose your research question. If you are losing the research question, there is no systematic procedure in your research. Right? So qualitative research is not just storytelling. It's not just retelling a story that someone told you. That's where the people are getting the things wrongly. Right? It's not a retelling thing. It's not a story building. Right? It's where you pick up the story and you go into that story, and through the story you address your research question, and then you tell how your research questions have been addressed to your story that you captured, right? So that's please understand the rigor of this particular research methodology. Okay, right. So any questions so far? I just explained to you only 2-3 sides. Any question? You can interrupt me at any time, huh? No problem in doing that. Right. So if you don't have any question, if you have a question, please let me know. So this is the qualitative research journey, the consistency. I think this is something very much important. This is what your examiners are looking for. When you research, even in the undergraduate level, even at the postgraduate, especially for the postgraduate level, this is what the people are looking for. The consistency in your whole research is very important, right? I hope most of you have already done your research problem, right? So what you have done there, you captured a research or a theoretical gap available in the literature, right? So there are 3-4 methods are available to discover research problems. I'm not going to address that, right? So you have to find out the gap in the literature. What is the area that the people have not researched so far, right? So you address, you find out that. Then the interesting thing is, based on the research problem, you have to build up your purpose of the study. What I am going to do at the end of the day. Particularly, these words are very important. Right? These words tell you a lot. right? Now, these are the words, action words or action verbs, probably action verbs that you can use in qualitative research. You can understand how supermarkets are responding to the COVID-19. So that can be your purpose. You can explain, so you can write down a purpose as my purpose is to explain how the small scale entrepreneurs are building their strategies. So that can be the purpose. You can describe something, you can illustrate something with the illustration means actually you have to come up with a kind of a theoretical framework at the end of the day. So your study would be to illustrate how uh, the faculty of management is responding for COVID-19. So you want to illustrate that with more figures, more pictures, right? More stories like that. Sometimes you maybe want to explore something which is very exploratory in nature, or you maybe want to conceptualize something. You want to explain some phenomenon in more detail, right? To understand what are its variables are, and then based on those variables someone can take it over after you, right? So after you conceptualize, let's say the corporate behavior of supermarkets at the COVID-19. So then you come up with good themes, good variables, and then quantitative researcher can take it from you and he can do a quantitative study from their own words, right? So you see, our task is mainly to come up with a big explanation at the end of the day. So these are the key words or key action verbs that you can use for the research purpose, right? So please make sure that your research problem is matching with the research purpose, right? So that is actually you discuss with your supervisor. If those two things are not matching, then I think it's difficult to continue. Based on the purpose, you have to build up your research questions, right? Research question mean, you have to, how can I tell? You have to convert your issue, your problem into researchable statements at the end of the day, right? So probably in the qualitative discipline, our research questions are more exploratory in nature, more open-ended, right? And also a little bit, context specific. What does mean by context specific? Because I told in the qualitative research, context is everything. You can't separate the context from the research. If you are doing a research on faculty of management, how we are responding to COVID-19, you can't separate out the faculty of management. So your research questions are addressing the problems, the issues in the faculty of management, not anywhere else, right? Then, based on the number three, your design should be formulated. So what I want to tell, questions drive your design. Please understand, right? This is the consistency important, right? So research design, so I will explain to you different research approaches under the design today. The kind of data that I want to gather, data sources from whom I can gather, the sampling methods I can use, right? And then you can see the philosophical assumption. This is something tricky, right? Sometimes, at the undergraduate level, if you feel that is very difficult for me to do at this level, uh, I think you can just omit, but I encourage you, if you can do that, that's really great, right? So there are three things that I want to explain: ontology, epistemology, and axiology, right? And then so I'm not touching that right now, right? And then we can, based on the philosophical assumptions, we are moving into the quality assurance, right? Because quality assurance is very important. The reason is this: now you can study the supermarkets, in the during the COVID-19 time by just going there. So you are the researcher, you are the one collected the data, you are the one collected those stories, right? And you analyze those data by yourself. Will the other people believe your story? That's the quality assurance. You have to make sure that your story, your research is being believed and accepted by the academic community, which is very important, especially when you go for publication, they are looking after that, right? So you need to make sure the three things are achieved: credibility, transferability, and dependability, right? So very important three concepts are there. Based on the quality assurance, have to, collect the data, and then the data collection, finally you are ended up with the presentation and interpretation of your results, right? Interpretation of the results at the end of the day. Now, what I want to tell, these 8 components are depending on each other. If your research problem, right, is wrong, right, so then there is no purpose. Please go one by one, right? Don't try to change something in between. So for example, when you define the research problem and the purpose and everything, suddenly if you change a research question, right, in the middle of the study, sometimes the whole study can be changed, right? So that's why coming up with a very strong research proposal is very significant from the beginning, right? Okay, so let's move forward. Now, I will little bit touch on this area, the philosophical assumptions in the qualitative. I'm not going to touch the quantitative aspect. What is ontology? I will, take it a very simple example, then only all of us can understand. Now, assume during the COVID-19, you go and interview some of the entrepreneurs in the country, right? Let's say when you interview Mr. Dhammika Pereira, the richest person in the country, he will tell, the COVID-19 is there, but I managed to do it, right? So he will tell, I managed to really manage my business organization well. Now I am thinking, what should I do after the COVID? Now his thinking is that. You interview middle scale businessman, he will tell, COVID-19 is there, it's really hit my business, so I reduce employees by sending 50 people back home, and now only half of the staff members are working in the organization. That is his story. Another one, very small scale entrepreneur, you go and tell, now he will be telling, now there is no business, I shut down everything. Now you see, all three of these entrepreneurs, they face the same situation, but after facing the same situation, their stories, their explanations are different from one to another. Dhammika Pereira's story different for the middle scale entrepreneur, and his story is different to the another entrepreneur. So what we have to tell now, that's what we call the reality idea, right? It's all about, right? We are here in the qualitative research, we are capturing the subjective reality. Why, even after facing the same phenomenon, why people's ideas are different, right? Why entrepreneurs' ideas are different from one to another for the same issue of COVID-19? What is the reason actually? Because their background is different. Dhammika Pereira has so much of wealth. He has a lot of other businesses, so he can cover up when there is an issue in one business. He can get the support of the other business. But the middle scale guy, he can't do that. The only option from him is to send the 50 people home. For the smallest one, the only solution is to shut down the organization. You see, that's what we call subjective reality. We are looking at the people who face the same problem, but their explanations are different. So as a qualitative researcher, what you are trying to capture, why these stories are different? Why this entrepreneur story is different from the other one? So you have to capture the background of the person, isn't it? If you don't know the background of the person, you can't explain, right? Now, that reality, that subjective reality leads to the next one, right? Now you see, background of the person is different. Now you have to understand the background of the person. Will he tell you the background if you are just coming up with a survey? Assume you send a Google form for the entrepreneur, right? He will just fill it up and send you, and he will not tell his background information. So to build the background, to understand the person in more detail, what you need as a qualitative researcher, you have to have a close connection with the researcher and the participant. That is a must. Qualitative researcher should build up a very close relationship with the participant. Then only he will tell why I have to shut down, why I have to send 50 people back home. He will tell only in that way, right? Then the other problems start. Now you are close to him, right? Now I don't know whether I told or not, qualitative research, right? What you have to understand, the researcher is an instrument. Researcher is an instrument, right? So you go and collect the data and you build up the story and everything, right? Now you are close to the respondent. No, now that leads to next thing, value, axiology idea, right? Now you are the one collected the story by sitting with the entrepreneur, right? And you are the one interpreted the data. You are the one analyzed the data by coming up with the themes and everything to address your research question, right? Now you did everything, no, right? Without mostly looking at the literature, right? Now in quantitative research, we are having these variables, and then from the for the variable, we are trying to find out what are the measures and everything. Now here, there's no such thing. We build the story, we collected the story, we analyzed the story, and now we are retelling the story. So that is your own product, no, right? So then what is important? Your values, your background matters a lot, right? So that's why in qualitative research, we have to have a section for researchers' background. We have to tell that in the research methodology section, right? So we have to tell the researcher's background, researchers' beliefs, the biases, and those influence on the research process. Why you are interested in exploring the entrepreneurship during the COVID-19. So there should be a reason for that. You have to tell that background information, why you are interested on the topic. You may be interested because you may be a student who want to study the entrepreneurship as a subject, right? So you have to tell that in your research, in your methodology chapter. So then the person who is reading your research will understand, this is why this person is telling the story in this way, right? Now, for example, that is you are doing the research, but assume another researcher from another country will come to Sri Lanka and do a study on the our entrepreneurs. So his story can be different. So that's why, as qualitative researchers, we must tell our background information in the methodology chapter, right? So I think some of you are there who are doing the qualitative, what we call the proposal building up, right? So make sure in your methodology chapter, I'm talking about the last dissertation, there should be a section on researchers' background and biases. There should be a section on that, right? So that you can put it under the methodology chapter. Very, very important, because then only the people, the evaluators, the people who are reading your research will understand the research nicely, right? You see how different the methodology is, right? Okay, we'll move to the next, right? This is the quality
Sir,
assurance work. Yes, yes.
Sir, Samir,
Yeah, Samir.
Samir,
Yes,
sir,
yes.
could you please explain? Now you have mentioned we have to mention the researcher's background,
Oh,
where
okay.
we have to mention what are the biases
Mm-hmm.
from that perspective.
Yeah,
So,
yeah.
could you explain small example for that one, sir?
Yes, yes, Samir. Now here, now we have to be very careful.
Yeah.
Samir, now in here we should not tell our
Hmm.
demographic information.
Yeah.
Right? Now we should not tell I am a lecturer in this and now you can tell, of course.
Hmm.
Now you have to really identify, Samira,
Hmm.
what really important
Hmm.
when I am interpreting the findings. Now,
Yeah.
as a lecturer, Samira, now for example, if you are as a lecturer doing a study on entrepreneurship, we
Hmm.
have a very different way of looking at them,
Yeah. Yeah.
right?
Hmm.
But assume, Samira, if an entrepreneur himself is doing a research on entrepreneurship,
Yeah. Hmm.
then his explanation is different,
Yeah.
right? So
Hmm.
what I am telling, you need to tell your background, which is important for your analysis.
Yeah.
What
Hmm.
really influence your
Hmm.
analysis stage, right?
Yes, sir.
Now,
Hmm.
by being a lecturer, we may be interpreting things from a little bit of outside perspective,
Yeah. Yeah. That's true,
but
sir.
as an
Hmm.
entrepreneur, as a businessman, if
Hmm.
that person is doing research, and
Hmm.
particularly as let's say, if the Asian Development Bank is doing the research,
Yeah.
Samira, they may be
Yeah.
doing the research because
Hmm.
they want to help the entrepreneurs.
Yeah.
Now,
Hmm.
as an academic, I am not going to help them. I
Hmm.
am going to uh, explain how things are actually happening,
Happening. Hmm.
right? So that's what I told by this background and bias.
Yeah. If we do not mention that one, the reader will be confused. No, sir.
Right. Very good. Very
Yeah.
good. Yes.
Hmm.
Reader
That's
will
the.
be confused why this person is telling this way. Right. Now, for
Yeah.
example,
Hmm.
Samira, ADB,
Yeah.
Asian Development Bank, when they do the research, they will tell we should help these entrepreneurs. They will tell
Yeah. Hmm.
why they are telling that we have to help, because they have money to help the
Hmm.
entrepreneurs. But
Entrepreneurs.
as a academic, we don't have that
Hmm.
link.
Hmm.
Right? That's why, Samira, we have to point out the background.
Okay, so thank you.
Yeah, okay, right.
Okay.
Right. So this is what we call quality assurance, that we have to explore the things that we have to explain there, the credibility. Right now, this is the point I was telling from the beginning. Will the, sorry, do the data and the findings truly reflect the participant's story and the experience? I gather the data, I analyze the data, whether these data are going to be credible, whether these data really explain the entrepreneurs that we have in the country, right? So now you have to tell that, then only the academic community will believe your article or your book or whatever it is. So to do that, what you need to tell, accuracy of the data and the findings. You have to tell how accurately you are collecting the data, right? You have to show your interview guide. You sometimes the examiners will ask you what we call the recordings, right? Especially if you are doing and analyzing your research using NVO software. Right? When you click a button on your laptop, it will be recorded, right? Now please understand, now we have different softwares, the quantitative research software and the qualitative one. In the qualitative research software, even the steps that you are making, let's say when you open up the NVO and when you click some button, even that is recorded in a different recording. So you see, examiners sometimes will ask you, please give me that NVO backup recording. Samira, can you understand? Yes. So they will ask
Yes.
you, where is your backup recording for the NVO? I need that one. I can't believe you. Right? Then only the credibility is being shown. Right? So direct connection between the findings and the data that you collected, the rich context and the in-depth the descriptions of your finding, all these things are needed. Right? We actually, in the qualitative research, we have to be transparent as much as possible. Right? So that leads to the next one, transferability. That's another thing. Now the people are telling like this way, uh, quantitative research, we can generalize from one situation to another. But qualitative, can we do that? We can do if the context is explained properly. Right? So in qualitative research, we don't use the word called generalization. That is a prohibited word. The word good for qualitative research is transferability. Very different. Transferability. Can the findings be transferred to a similar context? We are asking the context. So that's why we have to explain the context. If you are doing a research on the faculty of management, we have to explain the faculty of management in detail. If you are doing a research on one of the entrepreneur in the country, you have to explain that entrepreneur, what is his nature. Then only another person can see, can I transfer Mr. Dhammika Pereira's story to another story? Right? Then that person has to take the decision. It is not you. Right? You are telling this is how the things happen. This is what is the nature of the story. This is what is the nature of the context. Right? The next one is dependability. What is that? Would we arrive at similar results if the procedures are allowed? Now that's another important question to address. Now, for example, myself, I study three entrepreneurs and I come up with the kind of findings, right? And let's assume one of you, right? We'll take one. Let's say Ashwini. Ashwini is doing a research on the same three entrepreneurs. Can she also come up with the same, explanation? Now, this is a big subjective thing, right? Would we arrive at the similar results if the procedures are being followed? Now, what I have to do, my procedure, right? I have to clearly present step by step the data collection process and the analysis process. I have to present the paradigms and everything. I have to explain. That's why, Samir, I have to explain my researcher's background, right? If I explain my background and everything, right, that research explains whether another one can do it the same way or not, right? Sometimes Asian Development Bank will do the same research, but the findings can be different because they are a different organization. I am a lecturer at Peradeniya, right? You are a student at Peradeniya. So three of us do the same research, but our findings can be different, right? Why that is different? Because our backgrounds, our biases, our knowledge level, our role is different for each other, right? So that's why in the qualitative research, please make sure to explain who you are in the methodology chapter. Very, very important, right? Okay, if this is not clear, we'll have a separate discussion later. Huh? Okay. Now, this is the important thing, right? Especially for the proposal building now. Qualitative research approaches. Qualitative research is not a one thing. It has a umbrella kind of approaches within that. One approach is we call phenomenological approach. Phenomenology approach, right? In other words, this is where you capture the participant's experience. Right? This is what I was telling earlier. Entrepreneurs are going through the COVID-19, so you want to capture their experience. So if you are going to do a study on that, so that's a phenomenological study, right? Qualitative, but it's a phenomenological study. What is grounded theory? This is different from the earlier one. Here, the grounded theory, the interesting thing is, right? You are developing an explanation or a proposition, model, or a theory which is fitting with the data that you gather. Now here the objective is what? To build a theory, to build an explanation, to build a story at the end of the day, right? Phenomenology is what? You capture the experience. Through the experience, you tell about them. But grounded theory, you want to build a theory at the end of the day. So that's how these one by one is different. Narrative, right? Narrative is another one, right? And also I must tell you, when you take the phenomenology, there's a separate methodology behind the phenomenology. That also please understand. Phenomenology, the sample size, the data collection method are different to grounded theory. Right? Narrative, very different. Narrative is what? Collecting the participant stories. Let's say you want to do a study on entrepreneurship, right? How entrepreneurs in Sri Lanka have started their businesses, right? So you can go and ask from Mr. Let's say the founder of Damro, Damitara Ramanayaka, how you found the Damro, right? So please understand, this is what some people are criticizing. When you do a narrative study, even one respondent is enough. Why one respondent is enough? Because if you explain the Damitara Ramanayaka story, Damro founder, right? That story is enough to write a dissertation, isn't it? That story is that much rich. You can collect that much of information, right? So that's why you have to develop your research questions in a way that, right, to capture that particular entrepreneur very nicely, right? So narrative is a totally different research method, right? Sample size one is enough. Right now, you may be wondering quantitative research. The people who are in quantitative research, when you say your sample size is one, so they will not believe you, isn't it? Right? But let them to read your main story, right? So then they will understand how rich your study is, right? Normally for phenomenology, normally we tend to have around 12 to 25 kind of respondents, right? Grounded theory, it is also varying based on the way that you look at the problem, right? And also, if you are interested in one particular approach, we'll do a session on that. Phenomenology, we can do one session, right? How to go into details of the phenomenology. The way to analyze the phenomenological research is very different to grounded theory, right? And there are very different academic authorities are there for each and every area, right? For example, for phenomenology, there's an author called Mustakas. He's really important. For grounded theory, Kathy Chalmers is there. Narrative theory, once again, the Mustakas, and also I forget the other person. Sorry about that. So there are different academic authorities are there for each of these approach, right? So here I told three. There are another two I want to bring today, right? Another one is case study method. Now please understand. You may be wondering, for the examination also we are getting case study. Ne? You may be thinking, ne? Right? We case studies means the lecturers are giving a case study, so then based on that we are answering some questions. Ne? That is not the case study we are discussing here. This is a case study as a research approach. Very different to the case studies which are available in your books, right? This is a case study as a research method. In the case study, what is really happening is you are providing in-depth understanding of a particular specific situation or a phenomenon using multiple data sources. Now, here you see the data collection is very different. You can collect the data through interviews, through observation, even through secondary data. You can build a story, you can build a case study, right? So very different methodologies there. So if you are interested, please go and read the Robert Yin's 2018 book. That's the best book for case study research, right? The other one is ethnography. This is, I think, mainly coming from the social science disciplines, right? This is, I think, we should not select for research, the dissertation. If we select this one for dissertation, other people will finish the degree, we will be on the road, right? Ethnography is good when you get a very good grant, a research grant from a big organization. You can really enjoy with ethnography. The reason is ethnography, very difficult, examining a phenomenon by studying a group of people or individual in their keyword is in their natural setting. You go down to that place and you stay with them, right? Now, for example, now you see a lot of non-governmental organization, they are helpful for empowering the rural women in northern part of our country, Jaffna, when you go there, right? So you can go to Jaffna and stay there with one of your friend, right? Then you stay with those people who are running the local business for maybe long time, and then you are studying the things in the natural setting, no? Right? You go and help these entrepreneurs to do their businesses, right? You look after their problems and everything, right? So it's like you are a CID guy. You go there and you engage with them. I think this is a very rich, qualitative research, but for a dissertation, not good because you have deadline, no? Right? With the deadline, you can't go for ethnography. Very different, very nice way, but not good for a dissertation, right? Okay, so these are the main five, right? But beyond these main five, now things are connected. Now, for example, you can go for like, you can connect ethnography with grounded with narrative with phenomenology. There are different methodologies are coming up in the literature, right? So that's a little bit beyond our discussion today, right? So I just want to ask you a question, right? Now I have a question here in the blue color. Can any one of you answer? How do the students learn through Zoom? Which out of these five, which one is suitable? How do the students learn through Zoom? Now, this is the question we want to find out answer. How do the students learn through Zoom? We are doing it. Now, which approach is suitable for us? Yes, any volunteer? Phenomenology, grounded, narrative, case study, ethnography. Which one is better to do a study? Any volunteer? Yes. We want to study how students are learning through Zoom these days. Which of these five methods are suitable? Phenomenology, grounded. If I tell one by one, phenomenology capturing the participant's experience. Grounded theory, we want to build a theory, explanation at the end of the day. Narrative, we want to build a story. Right? Case study, we want to take one particular group of people, very specific in nature. We want to collect the data from multiple sources and build a in-depth understanding on that. Ethnography, you stay with them, you stay with the participants and develop your research. Any guess from you? There is no right or wrong answer here, I must tell you, right? Your justification is what really matters here. You want to identify how the students are learning through Zoom. Any volunteer? Kavindu, my own student is there, no? Kavindu, which one is suitable?
So first one, phenomenon.
First one, eh? First one. So for you, it's first one, eh? Why you are telling first one, Kavindu?
So because it's capturing participant experience.
Experience, yes, of course. Yes. Can't we say grounded theory, Kavindu? What do you think? Grounded theory can't we use? Yes? Any guess? I think we can use grounded theory also. Why? Because we can build a model theory at the end of the day by studying how people are studying the through the Zoom. What about narrative? Narrative also you can do, but it's the scope is not enough. Ne? If you go and explain the 2-3 stories, I think it's not that much suitable. Case study also not much suitable, ne? Right? Because it's very difficult to draw a boundary, ne? Right? Now, for example, if you learn, draw a boundary like taking one particular course and how in that course students are learning, right? So it's not that much, good. Ethnography also difficult because now you can't go for these students, no? Right? It's practically difficult. I think the best two can be phenomenology and grounded theory in that case, right? So the only thing, once you select a particular approach, you have to justify why you have chosen that approach, right? Okay, so let's move forward for the analysis, right? So this is, I think, for Kavindi would be really important, right? So we'll do one more session on analysis because this need, comprehensive explanation. Qualitative analysis. I would like to actually break the qualitative analysis into two based on, now we told there are approaches, 5 approaches are there. So we can break the approaches based on research approach based strategy, the analysis method. Your analysis can be based on your research approach. So first one, I think there is a message is there here. It's a phenomenological analysis. Right, we later, if someone is interested on this area, there are so many phenomenological analysis methods are there, like IPA, interpreter phenomenological analysis, right? There are so many phenomenological analysis methods are there, right? So we can discuss if you need. And narrative analysis, that's based on format. Narrative research, you can do that. Ethnographic, there's a different methodology. Case study, totally different analysis method is there, suggested by Robert Ian. Things like this pattern matching and everything will come under the case study analysis. Grounded theory, I think the out of all these 5, the analysis is very difficult for the grounded theory, because you're going to build a theory, at the end of your study. So that's why the analysis is very difficult. But here, even when you go for coding, it's very, very difficult to do. Right? It's a very labor intensive work, right? I must tell that even I think for a dissertation, if you select grounded theory, of course you have to spend a lot of time. The whole research journey would be very difficult, right? I think for a research, for a dissertation, the best would be phenomenology, right? The best would be the phenomenology or case study. These are the best, I think, right? You can go, so these two. Narrative you can do, but your institution should support that. Now, for example, if your total institution is telling, you can't take one entrepreneur and how you can build a story on that person as your dissertation. No, it's not accepted. If the institution is telling that can we do a narrative, we can't, right? So please make sure that narrative is accepted by your research community. That is very important, right? Ethnography, time consuming, so difficult. I think for undergraduate, very good ones are case study and phenomenology would be the best, right? PhD level, of course, grounded theory is a very good one, huh? Right? If someone is interested. Generic one, right now. Now, one analysis method is you based on the research approach. The easiest one is the generic one. Right? This is what I would like to suggest for you at the undergraduate level. You follow a generic strategy. Don't go for the specific approach wise one, but if you really need, we can have 1 or 2 sessions on that, right? Generic one, the flow is this. You can see the flow: coding, sorting, synthesizing, and theorizing. This is the flow, right? Okay, so you don't worry whether it's phenomenology, narrative, ethnography, case, grounded. Follow this method, follow these 4 steps. So then you come up with your analysis at the end of the day, right? So that is better for undergraduates. And even at most of the postgraduate level, people go for the generic level. We have seen. Hari. What is the qualitative analysis? Qualitative analysis, very simply, we can say it is an act. It is an act. It's a behavior that you have to do. Right? It is an act of reducing data without losing its meaning. That's the key. You can reduce your data. For example, you interview Mr. Damitha Ramanayaka for 1 hour. You build a transcription for 10 pages, but in the analysis can be only 1 page, but that 1 page should reflect the 10 pages. That's like that, right? It's a summary, but it should not lose the meaning. So how to do that methodologically, right? So first thing that to do is coding. What is coding, right? I will tell you. Coding is assigning a label to the data. So you can't understand right now, I will tell you, right? Based on the coding, you go to the sorting. What is sorting? You group the codes and you develop a category, right? I will explain now. Synthesizing, you go to the next level of analysis, right? Now you have the categories now. Through the categories, you generate themes, and those themes should address your research questions. That's the interesting thing, right? Finally, this is not for undergraduate level. If you are going for postgraduate level, you can go for the theory building or theory building. Now, this is mainly for the grounded theory, actually. This is for grounded theory. This is for GT, right? So this is mostly not coming for some of the other methods, like even for phenomenology, you can stop at the synthesizing level, right? Okay, so that's the big story. Coding, combine the codes and develop the categories under the sorting stage, and then you combine the categories and build the themes. The theme should address your research questions. That is the end of your analysis, right? So here, now the interesting thing is this: when you do this whole analysis, your qualitative findings at the end of the day, right? It has to reflect the data. The analysis should reflect the data. And also the other challenge is you have done analysis, but at the end of the analysis, make sure your research questions are addressed or not. If that is not there, the research is not, accepted by the university. No, right? Make sure these two things that you are meeting. So let's discuss a little bit on the coding today, right? So qualitative analysis. So this is the process. These are the characteristics actually of the qualitative analysis, right? The analysis is you have to be very creative. Right? If you don't be creative, I think don't come into qualitative research. You have to be creative a lot to do a, you should be a person a little bit of, challenging the existing knowledge, right? You need to come up with, different kind of terms, right? Little bit of English would be needed. Subjectivity is also there because you are interpreting the findings by yourself, right? But at the end of the day, you are telling who you are, right? So the analysis is subjective. It has to be transparent. What is transparent? You have done the analysis, right? You interview the person, you have done the analysis by yourself, but you are telling who you are. You are telling, I am a student at management faculty, I am like this, right? This is why I am interested in the topic. Then the people will believe your research, right? Because of the transparency, there's a big credibility of your research at the end of the day, right? So you see how the data is being reduced, raw data, right? You collect the interview and then you find out the relevant data. Through the relevant data, you build up the codes. Through the codes, you build the categories, and then finally research, finally themes. The theme should address the research questions, right? So that's the end of the story in the qualitative one, right? Okay, what is coding? What is this first step, right? Coding is what? It is all about for the significant information in your interview, right? You are going to put a right kind of a word, kind of a phrase, or a kind of a sentence to reflect, to represent the data that you have, right? So you are gathering data through what? Interview transcripts. You are gathering data from some other documents, mainly for case study method. You are gathering by looking at the artifacts, Probably when you go to the library, there may be a lot of artifacts would be available in our library. You are gathering things from the field notes. Now, once you gather the data, right, you can't just present those data as it is. So you gather those data and you are giving a label for the important information within those data. That's what we call coding. Still, if you can't understand, give me a minute. Right. So this is the best way to explain what is a code is all about. How many of you have watched Blood Diamond? Yes. How many of you have watched the Blood Diamond movie? Yes. Ravini, have you watched Blood Diamond movie? At least yes or no? Ravini? Ravini, right? Ravini. Yes,
Yeah.
Ravini. Have you watched?
No, sir, haven't
No,
watched the whole.
how about Pirates of the Caribbean?
Yes.
Yes. How about Gumperelli?
Yes.
Yes. Now, are you in the mic? Please stay in the mic. Huh? When you say the word Gumperelli, right? Is this word capture the meaning of the movie?
Yeah.
Yes, it tells the movie. Now, what does it mean by Gumperelli? What is the meaning of Gumperelli? If you just explain.
A change.
A change in a society, a change in a village, isn't it? Right? Particularly, they are talking about a change in a particular social system, right? So the word Gumperelli captures the whole movie now. How about Pirates of the Caribbean? Is that also capturing the idea of that whole movie? Have you watched Ravini? You watched,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah.
So that word itself captures the whole movie now, right? If you watch the Blood Diamond, that is also like that. So code means what? Code is even a one word here. How many words here? Pirates of Dekai, the Tunai, Caribbean, Hatharai. So this is 4 words, right? This is 2 words. That's a code. Code can be either 1, 2, 3, 4, whatever the number of words. That word should capture the idea of the particular context. Can you understand? That's what we call coding. I will show you example. Just give me 1 second to share another document, right? Just to show how a coding is being done. Sorry, I have to open that document quickly, right? Just give me 1 second now. This is one of the document that I always use for, teaching this qualitative one. Right. Okay. I will show you this one. Okay. Right. Give me 1 second to share this. Right. Okay. Now this is an interview. This, okay. Can you see, Ravini, can you see the screen now? The Word document? Ravini, can you see the document now?
Yes, sir. Yes.
Right. Ravini, can you read this, the whole thing, which I highlighted here?
From the University of Peratania, the industry is far away. What would you think the best alternative to solve this issue?
Yes. Now I ask this question from respondent. Then the respondent is giving the answer. What is his answer?
It would be better if you can discuss this matter with the top management of leading companies so they can decide something for them, like some kind of project or else a CSR activity.
Yes. Now, when I asked this question from the industry, so they came up with this idea. When we ask, Piradini is far away from the industry, isn't it? So then the person, the interviewee is telling this, answer. It would be better you discuss this matter with the top management of a leading companies so they can come up with some projects for the students to do. So that is his answer now, right? Now, I want to put a code for this. Code means what? Now, this is, 2-line sentences, no? For this 2-line sentence, I put the coding. Can you see the coding in here? Engage in extra activities. That is my coding. So the idea is that what? coding has to reflect, the code has to reflect the important information which I highlighted in the document. Code means what? It's a 1 or 2 or 3 or 4, whatever the number of words. Those words should reflect the information in the main interview transcript given here, right? So that's what we call a code, right? I hope you can understand what I am explaining, right? If you can't, please tell me, right? So that's a code. Code means important 1 or 2 or 3 or number of whatever the number of words, right? So those words should capture the essence of your information that you have, right? Like Gamperaliya word capture the idea of the whole movie. Blood diamond capture the idea of the whole movie, right? So that's a code, right? So the coding process, which I explained here, right? So in the coding process, you are now it's a very labor intensive work, right? So coding, and then you have to group these. Now this analysis we will do in a separate lecture, right? Because analysis, I think for me, I need around 3 hours to explain the whole analysis process. Right? So I will put the analysis for a separate lecture if you are interested. I think we have 9 participants. Yes, 9 participants are there, except me. If you are interested, we will do one more session towards the analysis section of your research, right? So then that would be helpful for you at that time, right? For the time being, under the research proposal, you can suggest this is what is my methodology is all about. I'm going to follow the coding, I'm going to do the sorting, and then I'm going to do the synthesizing, right? You can see these things. I will send you the PowerPoint as well for all of you, right? So then you can basically copy and paste things from here, but be careful when you're copying, right? It will be subjected to these citation things as well, right? So don't worry about the theorizing, which is not needed at the undergraduate level probably, right? Okay, so that's the coding process, right? Now when you do the analysis also, there is a 2 methods are there. I will just brief you. There's a manual method and also software method are also available, right? Manual method means actually I had a practice of doing the manual for a long time, right? But it's a very labor intensive work. But in the manual method, actually you are learning a lot, right? I think in the undergraduate level, better you do the manual. The reason is you have to learn first, right? For the masters, you go for the software, right? Because now we have only few months time and you are far away from the faculty, right? The faculty has the software called NVivo, right? So we can teach that. The only problem, you are not there, right? So this time, whether you like it or not, you have to go for the manual, but you can learn the software even through the YouTube as well. But there's a the kind of trial version you can buy. You can get it for 14 days, but after 14 days it will not be appeared in your computer, right? So software coding is also available, right? So you can use whatever the method that are interested. I think if you are going for a master PhD level, software coding would be the best. Use the software in that case. There's a big misconception in using the software coding. Software, if you're using for the analysis, there's a big misconception. The misconception is that people are thinking if I use the software will do the analysis. Totally wrong, right? When you're using the NVivo will not analyze your data. NVivo will organize your data only. Please understand, right? So the analysis you need to do by yourself. That is very important, right? So so that's why NVivo you need to learn before the analysis. Otherwise, you can't do that, right? So not only NVivo, there are some other softwares also available. Atlas TI, MaxQDA is also available. There's another free of charge one is also available. It's not coming to my mind. If you're interested, I can then you can easily download it to your computer and do it now, right? So please let me know if you are interested in that free software. Then it will come to my mind later. I will send you the email for that, right? I forget it, right? Okay. Right. So that's about the two, manual and software coding, right? So it's a rigorous process, which I told you, right? So I'm not going to touch everything today, right? So sorry about that, because we don't have much time also, right? And also, if I finish the whole qualitative analysis, you will be definitely confused also, because I want to take one full session on coding on a later date. We will do a coding session for 2 hour, 3 hour session. So there, I must tell you, there's a book called Saldana, right? There's a book from Saldana. He suggested there are 32 coding methods are there. You can see how many coding methods. So many coding: attribute coding, descriptive coding, emotion, evaluation, a lot of coding methods are there, right? So to do the coding, so many methods are there, right? Now I just want to give you a small exercise quickly, and not taking much time. Assume this is a research question. Can you see the research question? Okay, what are the difficulties for students in learning through Zoom? What are the difficulties for students in learning through Zoom? Suppose if I ask this question, right? Let's say if I ask this question from, who are there? Okay, if I ask this question from Yashoda. Yashoda, you are there. I don't know whether you are there. Okay, Yashoda. Right, nice to see you.
Yes, sir.
Yes, Yashoda, now, yes.
Yeah.
Yashoda, can you just read what is given here? The answer from Samit.
Samit, I try to log into the Zoom lecture on time, but some days I cannot since the internet is not properly working. Also, it is difficult for me to continuously engage with the lecture since I hate looking at the same screen for a long time. My sister is also using the Zoom these days since her advanced level examination in the next year, so that it becomes difficult for both of us to listen to lectures together.
Yes. Now this is our student story, Yashoda.
Yes.
Right?
Yeah.
So now, if I ask you, can you pick up 1 or 2 codes by looking at this interview finding, right? Can you tell, to address this research question, what are the difficulties students are having through Zoom learning,
Yeah.
right? Can we just write down 1 or 2 codes by looking at this small explanation? One issue can be what? Internet.
Continuously engage in the lectures.
Okay, so that can be number 2. Okay, continuous, what is that? Continuous difficulty in continuously looking at the screen. So that can be one difficulty.
Screen for a longer time. Yeah.
Yes. So you have to put that in a very nice phrase, right? Now he explained this when I hate looking at the same screen for a long time. That is his statement, right? I, as a researcher, I have to tell in a very nice academic way how to put that into a code. Yes, I hate looking at the screen for a long time. You can write down difficulty of can someone fill the gap? Difficulty of anyone difficulty of looking at the screen for a long time. We can tell, but it's very lengthy, isn't it? Difficulty of, let's say, yes, how to write it? I'm struggling to give a good answer. Difficulty of looking at the screen for a long time. So we can write in the same way if you need. That can be one code. That can be one answer. The other answer can be internet is not properly working. So that is what? Internet interruption can be another answer. So you see now, we told one answer, we told another 2. We can tell another answer. What? Sister also studying using the same connection. Then there may be 2 fighting between Samit and the sister, right? So what is that problem, right? So that problem he's not actually explaining much, right? So they may be sometimes fighting with each other to share the connection, right? So then you can tell actually it is actually once again the internet problem. You can't share with the 2-3 people, right? So you see, that is how you can build up the codes. You look at the significant information in the interview and then put a code, right, to represent the important information. So that is a coding. particularly when you go down here, so that it becomes difficult for both of us to listen to lectures together. Don't you think he's hiding something, right? Sometimes it reflects, if I am going to listen to my lecture, the sister would make me a trouble, right? So then there will be a kind of big issue. So he may be hiding this information. So this is where now under the coding method, a lot of coding methods are there, right? Coding, like you can see emotion coding. Actually, it's an emotion. The Samit has. Samit is telling my sister is writing for the exam next year, no. So I just not log into my lectures. I can download because Samir sir is already uploading lectures, so no problem, right? So emotionally, the person is thinking more about sister, right? Because you have empathy on her, right? So where you can use emotion kind of coding in here. Can you understand? This is emotion coding you put here. But you see, we struggle here to come up with the coding. I hate looking at the same screen. So what we have done there, we try to put the same sentence from here to this place as the code. And here you see there is a coding method called in vivo coding. In vivo coding means what? We put the code as it is. So this is the in vivo coding. Right? Can you understand the different kind of coding methods we have? Sometimes we look at the emotions of the people. Sometimes we code based on what it exactly has. That's called in vivo coding. Some codes are attribute coding. Sometimes you look at the explanation and you attribute a code. Now you see internet is not properly working, and then he will tell so many stories. Then you can attribute the code is that internet issues. That can be the code. You see different coding methods are available for doing that, right? So let's have one full session on that. Today we can't do everything, right? Okay, so I think now after this is first cycle coding. First cycle you can use the emotion, in vivo coding, descriptive and evaluation codings are mostly possible according to Saldana, but you can use whatever the coding that you are interested, right? So we'll do one full lecture on that later.
Can I go to that option? Hello, sir.
Yes, yes.
Sir, maybe we can use different codes for one particular study, no?
Very good, Samir. Now, Samir, there's something that I did not address. If now we need to look at Samira, Samira, can you switch off your mic?
Okay.
Samira, now the thing is, we need to look at what kind of a research question that we are asking. That is very important. Now here you see the research question. The question, what are the difficulties students are facing? We look at the research question, and then based on that research question, sometimes attribute coding would be better. Sometimes descriptive coding would be better. But assume if your study is to capture the emotions of the people, if your study is about, let's say, the how students are facing a difficult time in the first year when they just come to the faculty, so emotion coding would be the best in that case. If you want to capture the emotions of the people, emotion coding would be better. And as you told, we can use a combination of codes as well, depending on the question that we want to address in the research question. Right? I hope, Samira, I answered your question. I think Amila is making a big noise.
Yeah.
Yes, yes.
Okay, sir.
Right, right. Okay. So we'll have a separate session, Samira, for coding, because this needs a big discussion.
Yes, sir.
Yes.
Definitely.
Yeah, we can't do within one session. Yes.
Yes, sir. Yes.
So after this first coding, right, we have to go for the sorting. This is, now you see, first cycle coding is what I just explained. After that one, after first cycle coding, this is what we need to do. This is we'll call sorting. So there are different sorting methods are available, right? So we will discuss that now to how to sort, how to combine the codes. We can look at the relationship between codes to combine them. We can actually see the code frequencies. Which one is the dominant code? Dominant code means the code which appeared in several times. You take that one as the dominant code. Under that dominant code, you put the other codes later, right? So that's the dominant. So we'll discuss on that later, right? underlying meanings across the codes. You look at the codes, different codes, and see whether there is underlying meaning, right? Now, yeah, you see here when you take the Samit explanation, right? Is there a meaning, right? When Samit is telling, I am just skipping my lecture because my sister is there, so he has a big meaning to add to that. So he's telling, I mostly care about my younger sister who is sitting for the advanced level. So for her, internet is far more important than me. You see how much of data is there within this small paragraph, right? So that's what I told, the coding method that you are selecting is very important to analyze the data, right? Okay, so we'll go forward to the next. Synthesizing means what, right? The second cycle coding. This is where we come with another set of coding method called pattern, focus, axial, and theoretical coding. And then based on that, we are generating the themes from the categories. So this is the theme development, right? This needs another discussion on a later stage, right? Through the themes, you should be able to address your research questions in the study. Make sure the themes that you are generating are addressing the research questions. Otherwise, the whole study is in great trouble, right? I think theorizing we don't need at the undergraduate level, but for the postgraduate level, obviously it is needed. We have to develop an explanation based, which are best representing the themes that we have, right? Okay, how to present your qualitative findings. This is really important to write down your chapter 4, how to present my findings. There are several presentation formats available. You can present based on the themes that you come up with in your research. If you come up with main 5 themes in your study, you present the chapter 4, the data presentation chapter based on the themes, right? Or you can have the presentation based on the cases. Especially this is used for case study research. If you study 2 cases, right, so you can present the 2 findings, 2 cases separately. So under the case 1, you develop the point out the themes, and then under the case 2, you point out the themes which came there, right? Or you can do even a mixed, right? I think for me the most interesting one is the theme one. This is the one that I really like, because when you present the findings in the themes, you are really telling my discussion chapter exactly answering the research questions, right? You can nicely point out that one, right? So we'll discuss on that as well with some further.
Shall I ask a question?
Yes.
One thing, sir, when it comes to quantitative research, sir, we start from a theory where we can use for it to develop our conceptual framework and the hypothesis development.
Yes.
But the end of the qualitative one also, we are going to develop a theory.
Yes.
But we can start, or we can have a base theory for this quantitative study also. Can we use that theory for explaining these things when we are discussing under the discussion chapter?
I think Samrat, this is a very important question to discuss, right? We need more time to discuss these kind of questions. Okay, now Samiran, for example, can you tell a theory quickly?
Now resource-based theory.
Okay, resource-based theory. Now resource-based theory telling the resources which are valuable are giving competitive advantage.
Yeah.
Now, Samir, what you need to do now, you can include. Now you have definitely you have to write down the literature review chapter.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
So now there are 2 types of analysis methods are there, Samir. Some people are like this. They don't. Now I will show you here. Right. Some people are like, they first of all develop what you told. Now here you told themes, right? Now for example, according to that theory, I can't write it down, Samira, right? Let's say the one explanation is like, valuable resources are giving a competitive advantage, right? So that is the theme, Samira.
Yes.
Right? Yes. Rare resources are giving competitive advantage, right? So some people, particularly the people who do not like very rigorous coding, Samira, they derive the theme directly from the literature review.
Yes.
Right? And they try to confirm whether these themes are there in my data or
Study.
not. It's a confirmatory type.
Yeah.
Right? That is the problem. So then even though your study is a qualitative one, you have a little bit of quantitative perspective. There is a method. There is a method for that. This is called actually under content analysis. There is a method for that. Right?
Yes.
But Samir, the best way is you develop the themes from you develop the themes from the coding process.
Yeah.
That is the best, Samir, that we can do.
Yeah, it means our own one.
Our own one would be best. But you have to have your literature review chapter. Definitely it is important. But make sure your themes are coming from the codes. Then only it's a very good qualitative study.
Yes. Okay, thank you, sir.
Okay, Samir. Yeah. Okay. So then, when you're presenting your qualitative findings, you have to, very important, you have to provide the background information of all the participants. Why we have to provide the background information of the participants? Because I told, without participant background, you can't interpret the value of your data. That is very important. So under the what we call before you are starting the discussion, the data presentation chapter, better to have the participant story first of all, right? And then you present the coding strategy that you use, the number of codes, right, which came up at the end of the analysis, right? The categories and themes which are emerged, right? You can present that also in a table format, right? And then you have to systematically present the findings in using either theme-based, case-based, or mixed method, right? And also you have to show how the findings are addressing the research questions. Very important, that part. Otherwise, the whole research is useless, right? Develop a finding summary table. So I will have example here for you. So this is a summary table format. You can see, right? You develop the category or theme. You write down here my theme, right? And then you write down how many times that theme came. Let's say six times this theme is appeared. What is the meaning of that theme? That's very, very important. You have to write down what is the meaning of my theme. This is in literature, actually we call empirical property, right? I am giving an explanation on the theme idea, right? Now, for example, you may be coming up with a theme telling that students have a difficulty in under the difficulties of engaging in the online education. You may be telling internet connectivity is a major problem. That can be a theme. So you then explain what is this internet connectivity problem in your context. Students are living in a rural area where the internet companies have not properly penetrated their market into that area. So you give the explanation onto your meaning and then provide the evidence. Evidence means what? You go to the interview excerpts and put down your excerpts in here. Excerpts means the quotations. You provide the evidence in here from the interview, right? So that's one way of you can present your data. And also there's some people are using very creative methods, right? You can use a word cloud method. Just go to Google, just type word cloud, right? You can do that very quickly, right? I think I don't need to show. So we will have a different lecture. So then we can do the word clouding very nicely, right? Or especially if you are going to build up a theory at the end of the day, if you want to build up a concept, right? So this is actually I captured this photograph from the last year my undergraduate research student. He built up a concept map at the end of the day from his research after studying about a tourism village, right? So he built up this particular idea. So that was a kind of a concept that he built up. So then even the quantitative researchers can test from there onward this particular concept map using the quantitative methods, right? So that's about different kind of data presentation techniques. There are some more techniques. I will show you some more in a future discussion, right? Okay, right. So that's what I have for you. That's what I plan, because the coordinator told me, you can do a session, less than 2 hours. So that's what I planned for today. Anyhow, if you have any question, we can discuss. Yes, any question? Anyone who is interested in qualitative research, I can see there are 8 participants now. So if you are really interested, we can, yes, Ravini?
So yeah, I am planning to do my research in the qualitative area.
Yes, yes.
So the problem that I'm having is in the qualitative research approaches, you told that we have to give a justification as to why we are using that approach.
Yeah.
So in the same way, if we are using the generic strategy, should we give a justification for using that?
No need, because now actually in the faculty now it's very clear that now Samira, are you there, Samira?
Yes, sir.
Samira, we can really justify her request because
Yes, sir.
for research methodology course that we have for the final years, we are not teaching this
Methods, 5 methods.
Yeah.
Just introduce
We are
only.
not teaching.
Yeah.
Yes. Yes. So I think Ravini does not need to worry why I am not using phenomenological analysis, right? But Ravini, when you go for postgraduate level, you can learn that separately and do, right? For the generic is more than enough, Samira, isn't it?
Yes, sir. Yes.
Yes.
Okay, thank you, sir. And also, you talked about the transparency of the
Yes.
data that we're doing, but also we have to
transferability, isn't it?
Transferability.
Is that transferability or transparency?
The transparency.
Transparency.
About
We
what
have to
we
be
are
open.
doing.
Yeah.
So in that case, when we are describing the person or that organization, we have to have a certain
Career. Yes. Yes.
Yeah.
I think what you are telling is like
privacy of the
privacy issue can be. Yeah. This is where the research ethics comes to play. I think Samira, we have to address.
Yes, sir.
I think as a faculty, we do not have a research ethics, kind of a compliance, isn't it?
Yes, sir.
Right? We have to develop that, right? So actually, so that is part of our responsibility, isn't it, Samira?
Especially from the research committee, sir.
Yes. Research committee has to do that.
Yeah.
Right? So Ravini, thank you for pointing that out. So we can now pressurize for them to do.
Yes.
Right? Yes. So while to answer your question, what you can do is this, right? In a qualitative research, Ravini, isn't it? I forgot your name. Ravini, yes. Ravini, now what you can do, now who you are going to study as your respondent?
It will be focused on one organization. I'm doing about the sort of a gender study focusing on women.
Yes, Ravini. Now what you can do, right? So are you undergraduate or postgraduate?
Undergraduate.
Faculty of management or somewhere else?
Faculty of management.
Yes, our final year student.
Then no problem. Right, then no problem. Right. Right. So what you can do, you request from the organization, right? You made a request with your endorsed by your supervisor. I'm going to use your organization, right? Because this happened to me, Samira. This happened to me.
Yes, sir. Yes.
When I presented my PhD research work also, I felt that if I disclose this information, it would not be good for the organization. Then Samira, what I did, I sent them the particular case study chapter for them.
Yes, sir.
Right. Then I got their endorsement, telling that they whether is it okay to put your name or not.
Yeah.
Ravini, you can do the same, right? Once you build up your chapter, you give it to them, right? So that's why you have to plan your work. Don't wait until the deadline, right? So you plan the work, so you give the work for them, maybe one of the main important person in that organization, and ask whether can I put the organization name or not. If they say no, right, what to do? Then you put a kind of a different name. Yes. Yes, that is really fine, no problem.
Okay.
Even you can publish, no worries.
Yes, no problem at all, because it's clear that your supervisor is there and you are there, you have done the study, so why we are worrying? No problem.
Thank you, sir.
Yes, okay. Any other Yes. Kavindu, no problem.
No, sir.
Right. Okay. So then, Samira, if the questions are not available, shall we wind up?
Yes, sir. Yes.
Yes. So then I must thank all of you, to join today. So actually, this is not the end, right? So I want
Yes,
to
sir.
continue because I was telling this one from the very beginning for the faculty, right?
Yes, yes.
Samira, you may remember
I know, sir.
I have
Yes.
done the very first lecture in
Yeah.
more than 1 year back, but thereafter no
No, yes.
request.
Arrangements, yes.
Yes, we were very busy with a lot of other work now, right?
Yes, sir.
So I want, at least few of you to get together and pressurize me. So then I will, help you, especially for the analysis, right?
Yes, sir.
So this is where, Samira, we have to put more work, more effort.
Yes,
We
sir.
put a kind of a
Definitely.
foundation today, so we will
Hmm.
discuss the analysis in more rigorous way.
Yeah.
Now
So
we
even
don't.
I will ask from the research committee.
Yes. So then, Samira, we don't need to, show this for all the students, but
Yeah.
we can do only for those who are interested. That's enough.
Interested. That's enough. Yes, sir.
Right. So then, thank you everyone for joining today. So
Thank you
if
very
you
much,
have any
sir.
questions, so my email addresses are given in here, right? So please write it down and send me so I can respond to you if you have any other question.
Okay, sir. Thank you very much.
Right. So then, thank you very much.
Thank you very much, sir.
Okay. Right. Bye.